Hello everyone and welcome to the Nikita Anand Performance Studio. Today I will be speaking to you about communication, the different kinds of communication and how you can effectively communicate. Now, communication is one of the most important life skills you have at your disposal because no matter your age, gender, background or even perspective, you will use this tool in every aspect of your life. Now let's understand what essentially is communication. It is the art of expressing yourself to someone else. Essentially, information that you want to share with someone. Now the manner in which you express yourself can render your communication effective or ineffective. First, let's understand what are the different kinds of communication. The first is verbal, just like I'm verbally speaking and communicating with you. The second is written. Any piece of information that is written out and then shared is written communication. The third is visual communication. A good example of this is any kind of branding that you see. And the fourth kind of communication is non-verbal. Again, you are seeing this in the form of gestures, body language, and expression. Now, these are the different kinds of communication. But how do you effectively communicate with someone else? To understand that, you must understand the factors that act as barriers first. What is the first barrier? It is the lack of self-awareness. Are you aware of your mental, emotional, and physical state before you communicate with someone else? Let's try and understand this with a couple of examples. If I am knackered, I'm absolutely exhausted at the end of the day, will I be able to effectively communicate with someone else? The chances of that are very low. What if I'm emotionally unstable? If I'm upset, agitated, or disturbed? There is no way that I will be able to communicate whatever it is that I want to in the manner that I would ideally like to if I'm emotionally unstable. So it is very important for you to be aware of your mental, emotional, and physical state before you communicate with someone. Now, this was self-awareness. The second factor that you need to consider is your listener. Are you being inattentive to them? Are you disregarding their opinion? Always remember that communication is a two-way process. You are communicating with someone because you want to elicit a response in the listener. Therefore, you always have to consider their response, how it is affecting them, and their viewpoint. The third factor that can impede effective communication is the use of jargon or your vocabulary. Are you using too many technical phrases? Are you using words that are overcomplicated? Because if you're doing that, then it will instantly form a disconnect between you and the listener. So always go simple. The fourth factor that you need to consider is your thought process. Are you someone who's extremely rigid and who feels it's my way or the highway and there's no in between? Always remember, you need to adapt in every situation in life. So don't adopt a rigid mentality. Be flexible, be open, and be receptive. It will always hold you in good stead. And the last factor that you need to consider if you want your communication to be effective is assumption. When you're communicating with someone, never assume how they have received your communication, what their thought process is, and how they feel. Sometimes our mind overworks. Within a matter of a few seconds, It is very easy for the mind to concoct a story which isn't true. That's what happens when you assume. So never assume. Always check facts. It's always good to know rather than to be in doubt. So these were the 5 factors that you need to consider if you want to effectively communicate with someone else. Now, these are just the basics of effective communication. But if you need help, guidance, or more tips on how you can effectively communicate with the rest of the world, then you can get in touch with me at the Nikita Anand Performance Studio.